Hi guys, welcome in. We're the Splittin Twigs crew. We are here with Eric talking hockey today, and I'm super excited to get this in.
Oh, okay, I'm back in. That's how it works. Okay, cool. I didn't realize they would join in just like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yeah, no, my name's Eric. I run Talking Hockey on Instagram. I think we're at like 27,000 followers as of today, and it's a analysis slash breaking, not really news, but like analyzing news type of page. I guess it was one of the first ones on Instagram, and now there's popped up a couple dozen focusing on strictly analysis now. But we focus around analysis, analytics, kind of evidence based decision making in the NHL. And yeah, that's kind of why I guess why you guys invited me on today.
Yeah, that's
I
kind of,
assume.
the same thing we're doing. Ours is kind of more geared towards educating younger hockey players and stuff, and kind of learning the hockey world.
Mm.
How did you come about the idea talking hockey? Like, how long ago did it start? Where did you start? How did this come?
Yeah, it was actually almost exactly 2 years ago now. Funnily enough, I think I started like end of February of 2019,
Okay.
and basically it was my last year of university, and I was trying to figure out like what the heck do I want to do with the rest of my life, and kind of started going through some ideas. And I know I kind of wanted to get into marketing. I worked at IBM for after my third year of university, or after my second year of university, doing analytics sales specifically. And a lot of that had to do with marketing, working with the marketing teams, and I really enjoyed it. So my last year of university, I just went and thought, okay, what do I want to do? I want to do marketing. What kind of marketing project can I work on for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months to kind of get my foot in the door? And then I thought, actually, why not just combine what I'm passionate about, marketing and sports, right? So started applying at TSN, Sportsnet, all the Score, all these other big sports media companies in Canada specifically, and got a couple interview, or I got one interview, I should say, sorry. And after that first interview, never heard back from them, and I was like, screw it, you know what? If I'm not going to be able to get a job in the space, I'll create my own job and do it myself. So that's kind of
Awesome.
when Talking Hockey started. Yeah, and kind of, sorry.
Oh, I was just saying that was amazing.
Oh yeah. Well, it was kind of just like a screw it. Like, you know what? I had all these ideas for what I wanted to do with Sportsnet's marketing stuff specifically, or hockey stuff specifically, and I was pitching them all my ideas during the interview. Guess they didn't like it since I never got a call back. But I figured, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna do it myself and see if I can grow it to be, anywhere near what. Like, obviously, it's never gonna be where they're at. They have millions of dollars of budget, and I'm just a dude with a Instagram account. But I figured, why
Not like
not?
with a large Instagram account now. You've grown it pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, it really took off after the first, I'd say like 4 months, when I started to really figure out how to go about using Instagram properly, and
Mhm.
figuring out how to create content that wasn't just valuable but also like shareable. So it was about trying to find a combination of those two things, because I didn't want to go into the news space. I knew that. I knew I could get a lot of followers if I just did news, because you can just post, update this trade, this trade, this trade, this trade, and then people share it and you can get followers that way. I never wanted to do that. I played around with it for a bit, but I didn't want to, first off, be on a time crunch, because I knew I was going to be working a full-time job and I wouldn't be able to constantly be on Twitter going like, okay, when's the next trade going to break so that I can post it. And I figured, analysis is the next best option there, where, I had all these opinions. I thought there was a completely, nobody on Instagram at the time anyways was doing analysis. There was nobody. There was NHL discussion,
Mhm.
hockey collective, like some huge Instagram pages with hundreds of thousands of followers, but they're all doing news or culture in hockey, which is great. That's super important. But there wasn't anyone taking a trade, breaking it down properly, using evidence to kind of break down the decisions, and combining the eye test and the analytics together. Nobody was doing that at the time. Figured, that was the space to go in, and pushed hard into it. And now looks like there's like 50 other accounts trying to do the same thing, which is great, which is kind of what I wanted in the first place. But yeah.
sometimes a little competition is good. It makes you work just that little bit much more harder.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Our graphics, like you if you go scroll back to the page like 1.5 years ago, like graphics still aren't good today, but 1.5 years ago they were awful. And it's just, seeing other people trying to do what I was doing, it makes you consistently improve and improve the quality of your content. So it's a good thing to have. And I'd rather, I never considered this a full-time career. So if there's 100 other pages that pop up that are doing analysis now, great, right? I did what I wanted to do, which is kind of change the way hockey was done on Instagram.
So today I was kind of looking at your podcast, and I noticed the first episode was talking about the Battle of Alberta. What is that?
The Battle of Alberta? Oh, it was just we the Calgary versus Edmonton rivalry. We like to talk a lot about because we're in Toronto ourselves, so it's honestly the most interesting rivalry in hockey. Obviously, I mean, Toronto versus Habs is nice. Toronto versus Ottawa is nice, I guess, but it's not Edmonton versus Calgary, and especially with Tkachuk there now being the annoying pest that he is, and just absolute chaos in every single game. It's the most entertaining hockey matchup right now in the world, I'd say, without a doubt.
I don't know. I'd have to say back in my old days when I worked with the Buffalo Sabres, I did security at their arena. We had a pretty big rivalry with Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah,
Rob Ray, Ty Domi days. Those
yeah. Well,
awesome games to watch.
Nothing to completely irrelevant today. Right? Like I don't think anyone looks at Toronto and Buffalo and goes, "That's a rivalry I want to watch."
Back in the day, it was definitely a big one.
Yeah,
but that's awesome. We have we're sponsored by Blade Tech, and their hockey blades are really awesome. But we were talking with Anthony from Blade Tech just a couple weeks ago, and he's actually up in Toronto as well. So it's kind of cool.
Nice.
We're kind of in the same neighborhood. So we learned a little bit about your marketing and your analytics and kind of what drove your desire to run the Instagram stuff. But what about your hockey background? Like how did you come up liking hockey and become
it was the most basic kind of story of, my parents moved here when they were very, very, very young. They never grew up watching hockey, but the Olympics came around in 2010, and that's kind of when they got into it. They're not fans, but that was kind of my first, okay, I really love hockey. And that's from there and then onwards, watched as much as I could. And then I got to university, and every one of my friends in university, just gigantic fantasy hockey nerds. And I just got way, 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 way more into it, and, watched insane amount of games. Probably should have studied a little bit more in university, but that's kind of how I got into hockey. I played a little bit of hockey when I was younger too. My major sport was soccer, actually, funnily enough, but I always think it's interesting comparing other sports to each other. Basketball, hockey, soccer, there's always little learnings you can make, but I played a little bit of hockey. I wasn't very good.
Giving you a high five right now in the air. He's Austin's he grew up playing soccer, and as soon as you mentioned soccer, you start seeing him going like this. All right.
Well, I mean,
soccer.
It's interesting because I think, every time you bring up soccer to hockey people, they absolutely rip on it. But I love soccer. It's my second favorite sport. My favorite sport to play. But hockey by far is the most fun sport for me to watch anyways. I think, though I do love soccer, I think there is a little bit of I don't want to say inferiority complex, but something about hockey fans that just don't like soccer because it's the most popular sport in the world, and nobody likes the diving and everything like that. But it's an interesting dynamic because anytime I bring up soccer at any point, I get 50 DMs from people going, "Why are you talking about soccer? It's not even a real sport." Blah 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 blah. And it's
it's a real sport, but they got to literally come out and freeze your leg when you get a leg cramp. I mean, that's something I'm not seeing.
Oh yeah, it's a completely different culture, right? The NHL hockey culture is play through every single injury, and but there's a reason why a lot of soccer players last longer than NHL players. It's because they don't do that. They when they're injured, they actually get off the field, and that prolongs their careers.
Good point.
So,
that makes way more sense about why hockey players typically age out in their 30s.
Yeah, well, a lot of hockey players, they age out. They're almost aging out of the league by the time they're 28, 29. And it's because they play through all those injuries. Whereas, soccer players do too. And a lot of it but it's a completely different. It's not even like in the same league of like what players do to play through in pain. Like there are always soccer players that, you're in the Champions League finals, or you're in the last few games of the season and they'll play through injuries. But the reality is when you play through injuries, you're also a lot less effective too. And we see that all the time. You watch the Bruins run to the playoff and to the Cup finals 2 years ago against St. Louis, right? Like Bergeron, all those guys were injured, and you could tell when you're watching them play hockey. You knew they were
busted his jaw, but he still played for 2 or 3 weeks during
and that was awesome. That's
a
great story. That's a great story, right? Like we love that as fans, but it also doesn't help. Jaws might not impact your career long term, but broken ribs and broken foot. Like look at Carlson right now, right? Erik Karlsson played on that broken heel or ankle, whatever it was, in 2017, I think it was, in Ottawa's run of the finals, and now he just he was the best defenseman in the world by far, bar none, and now he's he looks like barely an NHL player half the time, and it sucks to see, but a lot that happens to a lot of NHL players, and it doesn't happen to soccer players as often because of that.
Yeah, hockey's definitely about overcoming challenges. In fact, Chase had a pretty bad injury last August. I'm sure he'll tell you about what Chase's comeback has been really, really stellar. I mean, he played. They just had their state championship a couple weeks ago, and I think he got pretty much most of the ice time. And even after your injury, you could talk about your injury a little bit, though.
Yeah, I was playing a game August 4th of 2020, and I went to hit a kid. He jumped out of the way. Probably a smart move by him. He was a lot tinier than I am. And I kind of thought I was just going to hit the boards like always, but my leg kind of got stuck in a divot in the ice. And so I fell on it. My leg went one way, my body went the other way, and kind of broke both bones in my leg. Well, it did break both bones.
It broke both bones.
It either did or it did.
Maybe it broke them. I don't know. I broke both bones in my leg. I broke it August 4th. I started skating again. I think October 20th something is when I first.
How old are you?
I'm 15.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. If you were in your 20s, it probably wouldn't have healed as quickly, I feel.
Yeah, he was under the care of a really good doctor too. He had Dr. Corey, who was was the orthopedic surgeon for the Arizona Cardinals and the Arizona Coyotes and some other big organizations. He's a big soccer doctor as well. In fact, we're gonna have him on the show sometime in the next month or two, I think. But yeah, Chase's comeback was really awesome to watch, and from a dad perspective of it, the night that it happened, I'll probably get smacked for saying this, but I was thrilled to death that obviously he was coming back and the ambulance got there quick and stuff, but all the gear they had to cut off, but they saved his skate. We had a hockey dad who was an EMT, and he told the medics as they're cutting all the gear off, he's like, nope, he's like, cut the skate laces and save the skate, because that's a lot.
Yeah,
right
they
there.
cut my breezers, they cut my jersey, they cut my socks, they cut my laces. We had to pay so much money to get our stuff back, because they cut my cup too, and that a cup is like $60 on its own.
Well, they killed like what, $500, $600 worth of equipment right there. Probably. Yeah. I guess it's worth it to save the leg, but
maybe I could have lived without it. I don't know.
Now he's like a robot. He's got metal in his leg, holding it together with screws.
Which is kind of difficult though, because because I broke my leg, my ankle doesn't bend as well as say like my right leg, and so some of the moves that other kids find quite easy because their ankle can bend that way, I can't really do as much anymore. It doesn't affect me like to the point where I can't play hockey, but it does affect me to the point like where you could tell if you were to pinpoint certain skills, you'd be able to tell.
Do you think it's a physical thing or if it's a mental thing? Because obviously, I've had injuries before, and the doctor is going, it's completely fine, but you're in your head, you're going, no, it doesn't. I can't do it. So it might be. I don't know.
I think it's a little bit of both, like the physical side of my ankle not bending, but a lot of mental aspects of the game. Like when I broke my leg in that league, I was a very, very physical player. I was a very dominant player when it came to physicality, and I could show you some of my hits. Like they were massive. And after that, I kind of shied away from hitting a lot because I didn't want to break. Like even to this day, it's been like almost 8 months since I broke my leg, and I still shy away from hitting most of the time.
Message from Chloe, who knows a little bit about your story, but she didn't realize they cut so much of your equipment off. Yeah, that was painful to watch at the time. That's for sure.
So bad, Chloe.
You're just cringing. You're cringing watching him in pain for his broken leg, and you're cringing because you're cutting off all the equipment.
I was looking up and I was like, I swear to God, pick up my skate. I mean, I still wear the same skates that I did because I got those like I think like a couple months before I broke my leg, and I was looking at those skates. I was like, please don't cut them, please don't cut them. And then they just cut it. Yeah, and they were able to slide it off of me, but that hurt. I mean,
it's funny the things you care about when you're in pain.
Yeah, I know. It's like I wasn't worried about my leg. I was like, I thought I broke my ankle because I broke it so low, so close to my ankle. It's probably like an inch above my ankle is where I broke it. So I was like, when they walked over to me and said, "Hey, you good? Can you get up?" I was like, "No, I broke my ankle." And here's a funny story. It's like I talked a lot about this, but this is the funniest part of the entire thing. So they pulled me off the ice on a little like extra board that they just had because they didn't have a stretcher at the rink, so they just pulled me off of the board. And so the guy was kind of looking at my leg, and he took off my shin pad and my socks. And he was like, as he was doing that, he was talking to me. He was like, "Yeah, maybe you just dislocated your ankle, pop that and it'll be just fine." He took off the shin pad, looked at my leg. No joke, he did this. And he said, "No, dude, you broke it," because it was like, because it was like an inch apart from where my leg.
Oh, gross!
Supposed to be. Your leg literally had a curve, so it was like this, and then it curved down, and you could just see it. It was nasty.
I'm lucky. I've never broken anything before. Like I've gotten twisted ankles and everything like that, but I've never actually broken a bone, which is something I'm extremely lucky with. Thank God.
Yeah, and it's funny we talk about at the time I heard you mention, Eric, that we worry about the weirdest things at the time of injuries. I billeted a kid from Budapest, Hungary, Christian Nagin. He's gonna come on, I think, in May, but he's still playing. But I billeted him up in North Dakota, and he took a skate right across the face, and he only wore a visor at the time, and basically sliced his nose pretty close to coming off of his face. And the only thing that he was really worried about driving him to the hospital was his mouth guard, because he had like a $3,000 specially made mouth guard that he only could get made in Hungary, so he'd have to go back to get it replaced. And yeah, it was funny. I can't wait to hear Christian come on and tell that story, because that was a crazy night. But yeah, all he was worried about was his mouth guard. He found his mouth guard.
Yeah. See, I'm not that type of person. I'd just be worried about my face. Like, what am I gonna look like after this?
Yeah, to hear it from his perspective, we'll definitely enjoy that one.
Yeah, I'm not a person for blood. Like blood makes me cringe. Like I can't.
Oh yeah.
And so I am so lucky because they were like, if you didn't have gear on, like a shin pad on, your leg or your bones would have came out your leg. I was like, if that happened, just kill me now. I don't know if I could.
That wouldn't be a pretty sight. Ugh.
Yeah. So let's switch gears a little bit. We talked about some injuries and how hockey players, in my opinion, are a lot bit tougher than soccer players.
For sure.
But so NHL, you create a lot of NHL content. You share a lot of NHL content. So I gotta ask, favorite NHL team, favorite player?
Oh God.
Okay, so favorite NHL team, it's the Leafs. Obviously, I'm from Toronto, born and raised. But favorite NHL player, I've got two at the moment. I've got Nazem Kadri, my fellow brown guy, and then also I
love it, man.
And more recently, Sam Gagner has become one of my favorite NHL players as well. We had him on the podcast. Great guy, funny, really smart, really knowledgeable about the game. Sees the game a lot of the way I see it, I think, from what I've heard about him. He's followed our page for a while, literally watches like every story of ours, which is really funny to think about. There's him and a couple other NHL players that it's like interesting to see. You're looking at who's viewed your story for the day. See
Uh,
like 5 or 6 NHL players, and you're just like, oh god, I hope I didn't say anything bad about any of these guys.
well, they understand.
Yeah.
Fans got their opinions, their teams. I mean, NHL players, they're getting traded all the time and stuff, especially with the trade deadline coming tomorrow. But
Yeah.
they,
Well,
they've
they're
got
people.
that.
They're people. They follow the news just like anyone else. They're NHL fans. They grew up loving the NHL. They're gonna keep following the NHL. So it's always interesting seeing that, but it's also cool to think, oh, these NHL players care about my perspective on the game, or at least read my perspective on the game, whether they hate it or like it. I don't know, but
Do you
yeah,
remember
Gagne.
what episode that was? Because I'm going to tune in after this show. I want to hear this
Yeah,
interview.
it was. Oh man, I don't remember, but his name's in the title. I think if you just looked at up
Okay.
Sam Gagne on Spotify or Apple Podcast or anything, that's one of the top episodes that'll show up. But really fascinating guy, very smart, loves analytics. Gave us a really good breakdown of like what players should be looking at and what they shouldn't be looking at, and why he looks at what he looks at. So I think I was talking to Harman Dial, who's beat writer for the Canucks for the Athletic,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about him, and he was going like, yeah, he seems very smart. Like I think he's going to be a GM someday, or he's going to be working in management someday. I generally believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of players where you hear what they say and you go, they're not going to make good management people because they don't want to learn that side of the game. They don't care about it. They're not willing to learn or explore different things, check out things that are new.
Right.
But Gagne isn't one of those people, so I have a lot of faith in him over the long run after he retires in a couple of years.
And you mentioned Kadri. One of his private coaches, Tim Turk, is going to be on Tuesday. So be sure to tune in if you got any questions about, what was it like? What was it like coaching Kadri or whatever?
We were looking at that. Hey, he got a signed jersey from him. We were looking at that today. He had a picture posted.
Yeah, he was his coach. I'm sure he's got.
Oh, that's sick. Oh yeah, if I was their coach, I'd be getting everything signed on him. Like, why not? But yeah.
If you're a Maple Leafs fan, he was also worked with Mitch Marner.
Oh, nice.
He coached Marner, yeah. And in fact, one of Chase's private coaches right now, Boris.
Boris Desenko.
Yeah, I have a hard time saying his last name, but he was Austin Matthews' personal coach when he grew up, and he lived with him for a couple years. So it's kind of awesome to hear some of that. Their story of them and everything.
Oh, you must hear the most interesting stories if you're talking about like these super elite guys growing up. Like there's some of the most fascinating stories about, the perseverance, the work ethic, the dedication to, getting to that level that young, right? Like, Matthews was a star in the NHL the second he got there, basically at 18 years old. Like it's a completely different world.
His first game, he scored 4 goals, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. One of my good friends was there at the time too, and he was just like, "This is the best Ottawa Senators game to ever go to."
That's the game to remember.
Well, like the Ottawa, if I don't know how much you guys know about on the Senators and where the arena is and everything like that, but it's in the middle of nowhere. Not in the middle of nowhere, but it's very far away from like it's in Canada, which is like outside of Ottawa. It's like a ridiculous drive to get to. It's the public transportation to get there is awful. It's a complete mess anytime you're trying to go to one of those games. And I lived there for 4 years. So he was just like, it's very rarely that you go to an Ottawa Senators game and you're like, that was worth the amount of effort it took to get there. So that was one of the very few times it was actually worth it. And I didn't end up going, which was unfortunate for me.
As a Buffalo Sabres fan, I can almost say the same about my guys right now. It's they're rough to watch. I think it was 17 or 18 games in a row they lost through the last couple months. And
if I'm not mistaken, they fired their head coach though. Right?
Yep, they fired the coach. I bet on it, which was nice. Made a couple $100 there, but it was he had to be fired. The coach is like, it was just not working out. I guess a lot of the players in the room loved him, but the system he was using, the dump and chase, when you have guys like Rasmus Dahlin, you have Brandon Montour on the back end, like really good puck moving defensemen, and just getting them to dump and chase constantly just wasn't the right strategy. I don't know how Kruger stayed that long in his job, to be honest. complete disaster his entire tenure there. But
the Pagulas must have loved him because the Pagulas, and they're the owners of the Sabres. They also own the Buffalo Bills. And to see them turn the Buffalo Bills around the way they did, I have faith that it's going to happen, that the Sabres are going to come around. But I don't think the right middle piece is there. I think the talent's there, and I think the GMs are there. But they got to get that middle piece figured out.
Man, I've lost so much faith in anything that the Sabres do at this point. It's just, again, you're a fan, so you get it. But like, they've completely wasted their star talent. They've completely crapped the bed in every single draft almost. There's a great article, I think, by Don Lucian at The Athletic talking about like what would have happened in these previous 4 or 5 drafts if they just drafted even semi-decently, and the completely different change in the amount of talent that the Sabres would have, because they've had so many top-end picks, so many guys that haven't worked out, not many good depth picks in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounds. I think Victor Olofsson's one of those guys that ended up turning out, but there's not a lot of them. They can't figure out how to improve the depth of their team. Like, the bottom 2 lines are a disaster. They were going into the season. They're even worse now. They have Eichel up front. Eric Stahl was a good move.
Yeah.
Taylor Hall was a good bet to make, though it didn't work out. But
he didn't do much in Arizona either. We went to a few games, here in Phoenix and watched him play, and he didn't really do much in Arizona either. I think once he left the Devils, it kind of just I think
it's very odd. You don't see those guys who win the Hart 3 years ago just completely fall off, or not 3 years ago. Is it 4 years ago now? Whatever amount of years ago it was.
3 or 4.
You don't see those guys typically fall off the way he has, but I still think he's a very good player. I think this year he's been insanely unlucky. Like I think his shooting percentage is at like 2% or something, like something stupid.
Yeah.
And he's had like a career 8, 9, 10% shooting percentage. So he's going to rebound.
Mm-hmm.
Question is anybody going to be willing to make that bet, especially because he's now seen as like locker room cancer. I don't know how true that is. I'm not even going to speculate on it, but
yeah.
NHL players, they are very what's the word that I'm looking for? But they are worried about that kind of stuff. They're very habitual creatures,
Mm-hmm.
and, so bad luck and stuff like that. I feel like that impacts decision making. Superstitious. Thank you.
That's the word you're looking for.
Thank God. I was just like I was blanking on the word, but yeah, superstitious. So if Hall is seen as bad luck, which I don't even believe in like superstitious stuff or whatever it is, but he's bad luck. I don't know what to say. Just surrounds him for some reason. I don't know.
You have any superstitions for hockey when you go into the rinks? Do you have any things that you have to do the same way every time? Otherwise, it's just completely off.
Nobody make fun of me. It's probably going to be Chloe to make fun of me, but nobody make fun of me. So in the morning, when I get dressed, like for anything, well, not the morning, but the morning is most prevalent because I'm mainly skate in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not playing real hockey, like games or practices. And so I just say in the morning, but I put my cup on or whatever. And then I put on my left shin guard first, my right one. Then I go and then I put my breezers on. Then I put my left skate on. I tie that halfway. Then I put my right skate on. I tie that halfway. Then I finish my left skate, tie my right skate. Then I put on my my right elbow pad first and my left one. Then I put my my chest protector on and then put my jersey on. Then I leave.
I feel like hockey, like I know. Like a lot of professional sports players, they are very habitual in the sense that like volleyball players, they'll have a certain amount of bounces before they serve and they'll do it the exact same time. And like soccer players, before they take a free kick, before they take a penalty, like all this stuff. But hockey players are a completely different breed of just the weirdest ways of getting ready for a game. And you hear all those crazy stories about like Eichel and Crosby and what they do before games. It's just like
Ovechkin pouring an entire Gatorade bottle before each game on the ice.
What?
Yeah, Ovechkin pours Gatorade on the ice every single game before.
Did you know about that?
I don't think it's a whole bottle, is it? I thought he just squirts it on.
Yeah, maybe it's not a whole bottle. Maybe I'm just over exaggerating. But he does pour Gatorade on the ice every time before a game.
Yeah, he does that, and then I think.
And he's always got the yellow skate laces in.
So one player just eats like the same meal every day before a game. I think it was Eichel. He eats like Chipotle before every single game. I think it is like the exact same Chipotle meal. It's just like
Guys, this is 15 years, same Chipotle order every day.
Yeah, like imagine eating the same Chipotle. You play like whatever 80 games a year, maybe some playoffs. You're eating the exact same Chipotle meal every single. And I think that's the only thing he eats that day. So he'll get like 2 or 3. I forget which player it is. I want to say it's Eichel, but it's someone, and it's just so weird to think about.
What he does when Chipotle goes out of business?
That probably won't happen. Chipotle
That would scare me. Player.
He'd retire.
Yeah.
Interesting
I
story.
know that there's a corner of the rink every time for his grandpa before a game because his grandpa used to always sit there and watch his games.
Who was this? You cut out a little bit there.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, I think it's in Arizona, the Coyotes, one of their players touches one of the sides of the rinks every time before a game because his grandpa used to sit there, and so he'd because his grandpa passed away, he would always touch that before a game as like his ritual.
Oh, that's just sad.
Qdoba is better than Chipotle. I gotta agree with that, Lane. I'm definitely a Qdoba fan. I'm not really.
I have no idea what Qdoba is.
Qdoba is kind of like a Chipotle. We had it in North Dakota. I don't know if they have it here in Arizona or not. But
don't look at me. I don't even like Mexican food.
But it's kind of like a.
You don't like Mexican food?
Bro, I like
what's wrong with you?
I like the steak, but I don't like rice, beans, tortillas.
You're freaking crazy, dude. Mexican food is oh my god, it's so good. Chipotle, amazing.
I haven't eaten sauce in 7 years.
You haven't eaten a sauce?
Yeah, like sauce at all, like ketchup, mustard, anything in like 3 years or 7
Dude,
years.
if your mom is watching this, guess what you're getting before your first game on Tuesday?
What?
We're getting you Mexican food now.
No.
You're gonna start a new tradition.
Oh yeah, I'm a very superstitious person, and I'm kind of scared because the league I broke my leg in is GSHL. I think it's a Gold Summer Hockey League, and that's what I broke my leg in. And I'm playing a Golds League game this Tuesday, and I'm kind of scared because what if I break my right leg or something?
I don't think that's how it works. I don't think you have to worry about that.
Not at all.
That'd be terrible.
I think it's gonna be pretty fun though. The Golds League is really cool. So it's a hockey league, but there's one ref and it's really laid back. It's kind of just the kids going out skating and having fun. It's only like 2-minute shifts. They have music playing the whole time. The director of the league is out there like announcing all over the arena, and it's just a really fun, laid back kind of hockey game. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, you guys have everything going on right now, like because we're in complete lockdown here.
Yeah,
we don't even have to wear masks.
Yeah, we've heard how it is up in Canada with COVID restrictions and stuff, and it's really unfortunate because I mean that's I've been doing a lot of reading, and it's really affecting the hockey world because right now you can't have, like, for the NA combines and the junior combines down here, Canadian players aren't allowed to travel.
Like, my friend Chloe, she got invited to like a couple camps like out to Las Vegas, but she can't go because like the Canadian borders are shut down. So that kind of sucks. I feel really bad.
Yeah, there's a bunch of travel restrictions. It honestly, like, we've had some real here in Ontario anyways, we've had some really bad breakouts. So we've been completely shut down now for like a week, and I think we're going to be completely shut down until like May 6th or something like that. And hopefully by then they've gotten the vaccines out and things calm down a bit. I doubt it though.
Here the vaccines have really been putting out, and the numbers have dropped, and I mean it's the mass restrictions are starting to get lifted, and it's nice to see a sense of normalcy. Yeah,
dude, it is so hot. So we got a new studio built, and like the door is closed because the place where it has kids in it, and they're kind of loud. And so like the AC is walled off because we put walls in here. Oh, that feels so good. And we just put a fan over, and like the walls are closed off, so it's like we're stuck in a furnace, especially in Arizona. It's terrible.
And we were smart enough to wear hooded sweatshirts.
Yeah, we were smart.
That we should have thought this through. We didn't really think this through.
I'm up in Canada here, and I'm wearing a t-shirt, man.
Can we switch over this stream?
Yeah,
it's like, you take my hoodie, take your t-shirt.
It's like I'll gladly take it.
But yeah, no, we've heard the stuff with COVID up in Canada and stuff, and it's very, very unfortunate. But here it never really got shut down. I mean, you know, there were still some people skating during COVID, and hockey's been full on. I mean, last June or July, I coached Chase's house team, and they won the championship in like June or July of last year.
Yeah,
and so it's still going on.
We've been playing for. I think we shut down like when everything shut down, like almost the entire world shut down is kind of when we shut down. And we shut down for like 2, 3, 4 months. And then after that opened up again, we haven't really had a lockdown since. Like it's just it was mandatory to wear masks everywhere. Like everywhere. Even if you were walking on the sidewalk, it was mandatory. And then now, because we have so many shots that have been administered, like we have like 200 million given in the US. Now that we have so many administered, we are kind of like chilling right now because most people have it. Like my entire family except for me has it because like you have to be 16 or older to get it, and I turned 16 in January, so I'm kind of on the cusp.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't. Oh, like my grandparents have gotten it, but no, my parents haven't gotten it yet. I haven't gotten it yet. I have a couple friends that are like essential workers, so they've gotten it. But other than that, we're not even close yet. The U.S. has done a very good job with the vaccine rollout, but we've been awful.
I can tell you when you start rolling out, man, it gets better. Normalcy comes back, and
oh man, I'm so excited just to do anything. It's so boring. So boring.
Starbucks or something, man.
But look what the lockdowns have done to your page, man. I mean, 27,000 followers. That's a lot. That's impressive.
Go ahead, Tom.
It's been a little bit. I was just gonna say it's gotten. We were growing at like 100 followers a day for a while there, but I've been very much slacking on the content side of things because I got a new job in January working at this startup, and it's 70-hour weeks often. So it's 70-hour weeks before even doing anything hockey related, and it's almost like choosing between watching a hockey game and making a post at this point half the time. So
I'll tell you what, though, Canada really managed the playoffs well with the bubble. I mean, that was
that was phenomenal. No really, cases, really great hockey. It was actually cool because it was in Toronto too, and we went around. We were like constantly around that hotel and creeping around, see if you could see anyone.
Did you recognize any of them with their masks on?
No, obviously not. It was cool though. You got some glimpses of NHL players going in buses and stuff like that when we were going out to like the water and stuff, and you're walking by. So that was pretty cool. But other than that, they were all like locked down in that hotel, so you didn't get to see anybody.
Right.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a crazy year, especially with the Lightning making their comeback like that. Like that was pretty good. That was amazing to me.
Oh, the Lightning are gonna win the cup again this year.
They're up there.
Yeah, I mean, they're just doing.
I mean, they just got Savard, so they great defensive defenseman. I think he was like probably one of the best defensemen available on the market right now, and they got 2 teams to retain half his salary so that they could fit him on. I think by the playoffs they'll have $98 million on payroll. On cap hit, but because it's the playoffs and it doesn't matter, they get to. So they're going to be like 20 million ahead of like some of the teams that they're going to be playing against, which is insane to think about. They've literally created a super team. It's impressive.
Yeah.
So you're going for the Lightning all the way, huh?
Well, I went for the Lightning in the playoffs because a lot of my teams got knocked out pretty quick, and I was rooting for them. Like I think. Before the Stars, like during the Bruins and stuff, when they played the Bruins, is when I started rooting for them. And
I never had a doubt. I was sure the Lightning were gonna win from the second they got into the playoffs. Or the second the season started. To be honest, it just always seemed obvious, especially after that almost humiliating loss against the Blue Jackets the year before. I was just like, no, this team, they're gonna come back with a vengeance. They're gonna kill everyone, and they did. They dominated every single matchup in the playoffs. It wasn't even really close, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't think any team that played them was actually even close to as good of a team as the Lightning were last year.
Oh
and
yeah,
probably this year.
6-7 goals against teams who were actually pretty good, especially during the normal, like the regular season. I mean, they just absolutely dominated the playoffs.
They steamrolled.
Their goaltending is phenomenal.
After I watched them dominate the Bruins, I was like, wow, these guys are actually going to go all the way. And I was watching them every game. What was the team that they had like 3 or 4 overtimes where like a couple of the players played for like an entire hour?
That was against the Blue Jackets. Yeah, that was the first. That was the first round. The first round. Yeah, that was when Seth Jones played that like 60-minute game, and everyone started saying he was the best defenseman in the world. I think just because I don't know, it was a weird conversation to be having at the time, especially with Victor Hedman on the ice at the same time. But
yeah, that was definitely an amazing game to watch. I watched the entire thing, and when they finally scored, I was like, "Whoa, finally!"
Honestly, I was like, "Finally, I can go to bed."
The
game went on so long. Oh God, so it's the one thing about like hockey that gets annoying in the playoffs. It's like, yeah, I love watching overtimes, but the longer the game goes on, the more boring it gets. Very often, they're just chipping and dumping the puck in. Not much is happening. They're all just wiped out and exhausted.
And what a lot of people realize is when games go that long and you have that many overtimes, the amount of action going on in the locker room, the amount of food that they're ordering in, the amount of drinks and just snacks, just trying to keep themselves.
Oh yeah, I bet.
For that long of a game when they didn't really plan on it. I mean, we had I think 3 or 4 overtimes up in Minot for the NAHL team up there, and they ordered in like 20 pizzas between the overtime period. And it was just crazy. It was fun though, but the long game was definitely fun to watch.
I can imagine trying to feed 30 grown men, all fucking exhausted.
All eat like 5,000 calories a day, like.
Oh yeah. Well, every professional athlete, right? They eat like crazy. And it's like when you go into 4 overtimes or however many it was, that's an additional couple thousand calories you're burning right there, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, even just skating regularly. I mean, like people don't realize how physically demanding hockey is because it's not like 1 or 2 isolated groups of muscle. It's every muscle in your body working together. Like it's not an easy sport to play.
Oh no, like per minute, it's the most exhausting sport to play. I think.
I know. I want to see somebody try and skate for like a solid hour even during a game where you don't skate for the full hour. I mean, I get more tired skating a game for a full hour than I do skating 2 hours of private lessons back to back.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's not even close. Like you play an actual hockey game. It's the stop and starts, right? Like that's, going from stopping to going, it's an insane amount of energy. And then that's just the skating part. That's not everything else going on.
Handling.
Your brain's using a bunch of energy too. You're thinking constantly about paying attention to all your surroundings and what you're going to do next, using your arm. You're getting hit, you're getting thrown everywhere. It's
quick decisions, man. Like I don't even understand how even hockey players at a high level, like in the NHL, register every single thing that's going on because you have to be really good at skating, but then you have to be good at stick handling, shooting, understanding situations, hockey awareness, hockey like.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I always say. Even the worst NHL players are some of the best athletes in the world. Like the top 0.01%. It's just no normal person can do what they do. You have to have either God-given natural talent and insane work ethic, or just some next level insane work ethic and still amazing gifts and physical ability, and on top of that gets insanely lucky too, right? Like we've had a couple people on the podcast, and big factor that they talk about is luck and how avoiding major injuries, getting lucky with that stuff, being able to even afford hockey in the first place. So it's all these huge factors of luck and talent and work ethic and coming together to try to get you to that next level so you can make millions of dollars a year playing hockey, which is, everyone's dream, I guess.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
and they always think the hockey players are the tall, skinny kids who, their cardio is huge. But, I look on Facebook and you see all these memes. I'm sure you, especially in the Instagram world, probably see the same memes. But Phil Kessel, like, dude is
the
a
hot dog
beast.
man.
How does he at his size? How is he so good? How does he keep that?
I mean, and
that
he is
cardio
not
going?
like he's not like a bad player at all. Like, so I've watched him play so many times at Coyotes games, and some of the goals that I've seen him score are just absolutely insane. Like, his shot is just
Kessel is an aberration. I don't know what what he has like inside him, but it's incredible. It's like
all these
you nobody would look at him and go, that's a professional athlete.
The memes that are going around right now for Kessel are just hilarious.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
but
like,
he's really talented.
he's not somebody you would think would, let alone be, like you said, a professional athlete, but let alone be a really good, like, top professional athlete. Like, I wouldn't say he's a Connor David, but I wouldn't say that he's like
he's not a scrub. He was an elite player in Toronto or even in Pittsburgh. He's putting up 30 goals years, couple point per game years, bunch of 70-point years. He was a very good player. But it's also interesting because you can look at Phil Kessel and go, okay, yeah, he could be a hockey player. But if you looked at other sports, you'd look at him and go, there's no chance he'd be him. So it's just a very interesting dynamic because there's no way Phil Kessel could be a soccer player. Just absolutely zero chance he could be a soccer player. Basketball, obviously not, but hockey, for some reason, it works. I don't know I guess a lot of it's just like power. Power is a big part of it, I guess, and maybe
like the short people who are actually really good at basketball. Like, you hear those stories about people who are like 5'6", 5'8", and still able to dunk on like 12-foot rims. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's muscle. I guess it's muscle density, and I forget the term. There's a specific term I'm sure you guys or you might know, or one of your future guests will know about what the specific muscle is that allows you to like jump higher, jump faster, all like the power behind that.
Yeah. Tell us a lot of that because Tim he knows the ins and outs of the physics of shooting, the everything, the mechanics, and
I think it's slow twitch and fast twitch muscle fibers. I think that's what it is. And then I don't remember which ones will do which. I assume fast means you can jump higher and jump faster. But it's something to do with that. But yeah.
I don't know why, but you saying that just makes me think of the Sandlot movie when he puts on those sneakers.
Oh,
the what?
The Sandlot movie.
Sandlot movie.
Yeah, it's an old
baseball movie.
Yeah, it's an old movie,
dog.
and it's these Nike shoes, and they say they make you jump higher, run faster, and it was just so funny. I love that movie.
Sounds like the Air Jordan
Benny
movie.
the Jet Rodriguez. Benny the Jet Rodriguez. That's what it was.
Yeah, that was his movie name. But yeah, that was interesting. And then you got hockey players out there that you can't even understand. One of my all-time favorites was Dominik Hasek. If you ever watched any television interviews with Dominik Hasek, you could never understand him. And I talked to one of the guys for the Sabres. He's like, we never understood what he was saying. We just knew what he wanted.
Hockey has a lot of interesting characters. That's like the one. I think hockey has more interesting characters than almost any other sport. Just like the range of the people you see in the game.
Like, you go from Chara to Marchand to Ovechkin to Crosby, McDavid. I mean, you see all these players
all completely different people. Yeah.
Different playing styles. Like, if you look at hockey, every player has a different playing style. It's like, it's just crazy because each player has a different stride, shot, or like even their sticks, like different curves, flexes, what they prefer. It's so like vastly diverse
how they dress.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I hate whenever the draft comes around and then they're like, oh, this player, his comparable is X. He's the next, Seth Jones. He's the next Drew Doughty. He's the next. I hate those comparisons because it's never you never see a player at the draft turn out to the same player that his comparable was. It just never happens because it's just like you just look at it, you're like, no, this player it's completely different. You just generalize like one ability that this guy has and go, okay, he's the same as this guy. There's so many different facets to the game. They're never going to be the same type of player, or very rarely, anyways.
So speaking of players in the draft, I was just kind of wondering this. It just kind of popped into my head. Who do you think was the biggest bust of the season?
For last year's draft or for
last year's draft, or you mean
this current season?
For last year.
I mean, in terms of like, biggest letdowns, I guess you only a couple players go and get into the NHL last season, right? It's Stützle, it's Lafreniere, I think that's it from the 2020 draft, right? Those are the only two in the NHL currently. I think Marco Rossi might have been in the NHL, played a couple games if this whole COVID situation didn't happen, and that's unfortunate. But he was kind of one of the guys I was most excited about coming out of the draft. From Minnesota, Minnesota got him at a complete steal at I think 9 or something like that. But I think Byfield's been very impressive. I've been a little I think a lot of people are very happy with Stützle, and he's been, he's shown to be very capable, but I would have liked to see him in the AHL to start out with instead of the NHL. I think there's some serious fundamental flaws in his game right now that aren't being extremely helped by playing in the NHL. Not that, he shouldn't be here at all, but I think Lafreniere, I think a lot of people were expecting more from Lafreniere than what he's done so far. I think part of that is because we expect first overall picks to be McDavid and Matthews, but they're often not those types of players.
I mean, McDavid.
Sorry? Yeah.
That's a rarity, a commonality, and a lot of people think it's a commonality, but
those are the exceptions, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think I was looking at it, or I saw a post recently actually, and it was like the top 5 centers in the NHL, and he was by far at the first. I think he has like 190 something points this season alone, like counting like goals and assists and point plus minus and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he's just a crazy player.
Connor McDavid's got 42 games this season. He's up to 69 points with 23 goals and 46 assists. I mean, in 40,
it's ridiculous to think he might even hit 100 points this year. Like there's still potential there to do it, right? Like so, he's obviously the best player in the world. He's the best center in the world. But I think a lot of the time with first overall picks, we expect them to be McDavid, Matthews level, and not Ekblad or Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier or any of these guys who are, still first overall picks, still amazing players, but they don't come into the league being stars. I think McKinnon came into the league, put up 60 points his first year. So there's McKinnon, Matthews, and McDavid are kind of the only guys that stepped right in and were insanely elite. I think Taylor Hall had a good rookie year. Oh God, so long ago, I don't even remember.
Jordan Bennington had a hell of a rookie year.
Jordan Bennington, right? But he was what, 24, 25, I think 25 by the time his rookie year came along, right? So, we can't expect Lafreniere to come into the league and put up 60, 70 points like these other guys, even though I think a lot of the hype around Lafreniere was that he was another Matthews level player. I think a lot of people thought he was, and I think a big part of that was him going to the Rangers and the Rangers being, a huge market, but he never seemed like he was a Matthews level player. He seemed level below that, and obviously the Rangers haven't used him well. They're not playing him with exactly the most talented of line mates very often. I don't like David Quinn as a head coach, to be quite honest. I don't think he's a very good head coach. I think, especially when it comes to developing young players and using them and putting them in positions to succeed, I don't think he's a very good coach. So I think it's partly the Rangers' fault. I think it's partly fans' fault for expecting too much from him right away.
That's true.
And I don't have any doubt Lafreniere is still going to be a really, really amazing player in the NHL one day.
Yeah, same. I've been watching him since he played in the I always say it wrong. I think it was the QMJHL or something like that. I don't remember. I think I always say it wrong. And I've been watching him for a long time. I wholeheartedly thought he was going to go to the Red Wings, but he ended up going I thought he
The
was.
Red Wings got screwed.
All about that golf ball lottery, right?
And then like the day after, everybody thinking that it was rigged, their golf ball was lighter or heavier or whatever.
Yeah, there's always going to be conspiracy theories, but even if you go back and watch that video, it's like the Leafs ball was like right in there and it almost went up and then it dropped back out. And next thing you know, the Rangers ball went in. But it was very unlucky from Detroit's perspective.
That would be crazy to see that trio.
Yeah, because he was a left wing. Or no, he's a left or right wing, right?
He's a left winger. Yeah, he's a left winger. So New York doesn't exactly like. The thing is, like Panarin's there in New York, and he's going to be the star left winger on that team for a while. And Chris Kreider's also a left winger, so that's also an awkward situation to have Lafreniere in because Chris Kreider's making, I think, $6.5 million or something like that per year for the next 7 years. So it's either going to be they keep putting Lafreniere in the third line because they don't want to put him higher up, or they're going to send a guy they're paying almost $7 million for the next over half decade, and they're going to be putting on a third line. So it's it's an unfortunate contract situation. Which happens a lot
in the league.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he goes to free agency after this season, or if he stays one more season to develop and then go to free agency.
Wait, who? Sorry.
Oh, Lafreniere.
Oh, Lafreniere. Yeah, I mean, I think he's. I think New York's gonna keep him. I don't think like there's any way that they can. There's no way they give up on their first round pick. Like you saw the second they drafted him, he was all over Times Square. He's their star player, and I think the league, they'll like to have him there as well. And I don't see them moving him anytime soon. I can see, like I always thought Eichel was going to be a very good fit for the Rangers. Like they had the prospects to move in the cap space. I'm not sure about that cap space anymore with a lot of the deals that they're thinking of signing, but I don't think, even if they're going to get Eichel, I don't think they'd be trading with Lafreniere. I think they'd be looking at Kako and they'd be looking at some of their other prospects.
Yeah.
Well, we're down to the last couple minutes here.
We'll bring this one
up. Ghost says the contract situations are really common in other sports as well. Down in Brazil, it happens with soccer, even with the caveat of positioning in the field and how they organize it. Yeah, contracts, money. I mean, in sports, it's just a huge limitation. It's a big limiting factor for how well a team can get developed. But it also keeps the balance of power pretty even. It makes sports interesting.
Yeah, the thing with soccer is the contract situation with soccer is there is no cap. So the players have a lot more freedom, a lot more flexibility. They can go exactly where they want to go. They have the power, and they make a lot more money than the teams do as well because they can command those huge salaries. And that's one of the unfortunate things with the way the NHL is structured is it's the players kind of get like they don't get to fully utilize their bargaining power because of that 50% salary or 50% of this revenue going to the owners versus going to the players. And so they get screwed a little bit, they get shafted, but they also have given themselves the ability to have those league min contracts. So to give players a lot of safety nets, which is also very helpful, which is what a lot of players don't have in soccer.
Because some NHL players do make it out pretty big. Like I think Ovechkin has like $100 million contract or some crazy number like that. I think he makes like 12 something million a year.
Yeah, I think his salary is at like 10 or somewhere around that right now, but he was a long contract, right? Like I think they signed him at the time. A lot of those NHL deals can't happen anymore because it's limited to 7 or 8 years, depending if you're coming from free agency or if you're signed by the team that you're with. But those 12, 13-year deals that were given out to Ovechkin, to Ryan Suter, to who else was it? Was it Luongo as well? Or Kovalchuk, a bunch of Zach Parise, a lot of the guys. Shea Weber, obviously. So those don't happen anymore, unfortunately. which is really great for teams because locking players down for 13 years is basically never a good idea unless they're
No,
like
no,
20.
because especially career-ending injuries, there's just a lot of risks. But what I'm really curious, and I don't know how it's going to play out, but NHL teams playing right now without a lot of fans in the stands and losing a lot of revenue. I'm really curious 2-3 years down the road how that's going to impact their salaries and their cap space and just their ability to survive this pandemic.
Yeah, the way I see it, it's going to be a flat cap for the next 3, 4, maybe even 5 years, depending on what like it's hard to predict 5 years out because you never know what's going to happen to revenues, but they're looking at a flat cap for a long time. The escrow that players deal with, it's going to be high. The reality is like they can't not have it 50-50. So escrow is always going to affect players. They're always going to take 5, 7, 10, 11% of their salaries every year that goes to escrow. The league itself, the NHL relies on gate revenue more than any other professional sports league or major sports league, I should say, in North America. I think 70% of or 60% of revenues come from gate versus other leagues at like 50-40%. The NFL has like major TV deals that the NHL just doesn't have.
Sponsors.
Yeah. So by September or October, though, you'd think most fans are back in stadiums in the US anyways, maybe not in Canada right away. But yeah, NHL players, their salaries are either going to have to live a little leaner next couple years, unfortunately for them. But they're still making hundreds of thousands a year. I think they'll be fine.
Oh yeah, they'll be absolutely fine. I'd just be curious to see how the organizations do.
Yeah, I think the organizations will be fine. It'll be the real impact this is going to have is on a lot of the older players. A lot of those older players that are 32, 33 aren't going to get contracts in the NHL. A lot of teams are going to be looking to save cash. A lot of teams aren't going to have the cap space to keep those kinds of guys on because they're going to want to pay the younger guys who are going to make less money. So just like we saw this offseason with a lot of players not getting deals that otherwise would have, it's going to keep happening for the next 2 or 3 years where a lot of those older guys are going to get pushed out of the league.
Kind of like what happened with Arizona, where they let go a lot of their top end players to bring in younger players because they didn't really have the money. That was more because of their fines for their illegal drafting or whatever.
Well, I mean, Arizona disaster.
Yeah, they've never really done anything as an organization, and to be doing something like that, I mean, they're just.
It's just such a mess. It's a complete mess, right? Like it's just the Mitchell Miller incident, the drafting or the scouting, not the scouting, the combine that they gave for all those underage players.
Combines.
The complete disaster with the sexual harassment scandals. Just God, what an organization! Everyone wants them to move, and the NHL desperately wants them to succeed, and they just
I don't want them to move.
Just won't.
In Phoenix, that's our NHL team right now.
I want to see hockey still, man. Don't let them move, because then I'm gonna have to drive up to Nevada to go watch the
You like Vegas though. You like the Golden Knights.
I go watch I have to drive.
You're very close to Vegas. Just go to Vegas.
Yeah.
You'll have a lot more. You have a lot funner time. I guess you're only 15 right now, so you can't partake in some of the more fun things Vegas has done. But I'm a big casino guy myself, so I gotta go to Vegas and see a Knights game sometime for sure.
Yeah.
Well, if you do, let us know. That's only a 3-hour drive. We maybe have you and Chase hang out and go watch a game together. That'd be kind of cool.
Let's do it. I'm down. And then guess me and you will have to go and hit up the casino after, and Chase will have to figure out something else to do.
Pull a loan out or something.
Guys, Chase will have to cut his hair though, so he doesn't look so young.
My hair doesn't make.
Yeah. Well, they do let younger people in the casino, because I remember I went there right after grade 12 summer with my parents. They let people in the casino. They're just like, you're not allowed to like touch anything
or anything.
So you can watch. But
man, they're
wait till you're 21 and go. It'll be fun.
Oh yeah. Well, we're coming up on that time, just around that hour and 5 mark now, because I'm looking at it. Yeah, if you want to, so we'll throw you down in the green room, and if you want to stick around, we can talk after the podcast. And hold up, let's look at this real quick. To be fair, it does have a charm to it. Vegas is so I can't say that word.
Excessive that it wouldn't surprise if they eventually build a hockey stadium within one.
Oh, like in a casino.
In a casino.
That would be sick.
I bet in the lobby of their arena, I bet they got slot machines and stuff. They have to. Their airport has it.
But
like when you first land.
There are kids going in that rink, man.
I don't know. That's where
there's kids going in the casinos too. There's kids in the airport. There's kids. There's kids everywhere in Vegas.
Because they go, like, if their parents staying in like a hotel with a casino in it, they have to go through it to get to the hotel and stuff like that. So I guess, yeah.
Yeah, you literally have to walk through the casinos to get anywhere in Vegas. Like, you have to. And if you're traveling across the strip, you're gonna end up going through a casino. And they're honestly, it doesn't smell the greatest because it's a lot of people smoking. But other than that, it's an interesting experience for sure.
Absolutely, man. It's been a blast talking to you. One more time, real quick, where can people catch your site at on Instagram?
Yeah, so Instagram is at Talking Hockey. We have the talkinghockeypodcast.com, and obviously you can search us up on Talking Hockey on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys. This was actually fun. I have to run because I'm technically working today, so I ditched that to come talk to you guys. I guess my boss isn't going to hear this though, so I'm fine. But thanks so much. This is fun.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I doubt it. He's not a hockey fan, so I think we're good. But thanks so much for letting me join.
Absolutely, man.
Of course.
We got a couple more people coming on the next few days. We got a busy 2 or 3 days coming up, but this was a blast. This was a good way to start off a long 3-day weekend.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much for coming by.
Awesome. Thanks. Take care, guys.
All right. So what do we got coming up, Chase? Let's see here. Let me look at the schedule because we got some pretty
tomorrow
big shows.
We have Paul, right?
So tomorrow at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we got Dominic Boone coming on, and then at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we got Paul Rose. And I'm really looking.
Oh, we're doing a double header. Hey, I'm not going home. I'm just gonna stay here, take a nap or something. Because, bro, you would not expect this, but podcasts actually make you sleepy, especially when you're in a room that's 150 degrees.
You know what? Bring an air conditioner.
I will bring a fan.
Maybe if you had some fans, you'd be cooler in here. But I mean,
I do. I got 6 people in here right now.
but yeah, Paul Rosen's going to be awesome tomorrow. He had a really bad leg injury when he was younger. He's got quite the story of his comeback to tell. And then Tuesday we got Tim Turk. He's a NHL shooting and passing coach. Coaches players like Subban, Mitch Marner, Chikrin, Ryan McDonough. That's going to be a really, really good one. And that's Tuesday at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So we got a busy couple days coming up, man.
Yeah, and then we still may have an NHL player who played 700 NHL games come on. But we're still getting the logistics on that one filled out. And you guys better wish me luck on the Tuesday podcast because that's when my first Gold League game is. So everybody spam the chat that hopefully I don't break my leg. Just send prayers or something. I don't know.
You're not going to break your leg. You're going to go out there and you're going to kill that game. You're going to do awesome. But Andy Sutton's the one you're talking about. We're trying to work to confirm with Andy Sutton. He also started a company. Vibero, I'm probably not saying that right, but he's got his own hockey gear company he launched after he retired out of the NHL. So it'd be really cool to get him on here and learn about that.
Sorry, I just need the desk, guys. Yes, O'Toole, he can't afford AC.
You're worried about playing on Tuesday and you just hurt yourself on a table.
I know. Maybe I should just stop playing hockey. I'm kind of stupid.
You're not stupid.
All right, guys. Well, have a good day from the Splittin Twigs podcast. We'll see you next time.